Welcome to xYOUTHGROUPx. This is our first podcast with a guest. I'm Ryan, one of your hosts. This is Anthony, another one of your hosts, and Taylor, another one of your hosts. And I'm excited to be here with a friend that I've known for like 15 years. I was trying to figure this out the other day.
Yeah.
If you don't know him, this is Joe Musten. Hi, Joe.
How's it going?
Good to see you. It's been a
Good to
while.
see you guys.
Joe was in 3 bands that we're going to talk about today. Joe was in Beloved, which was slightly before my time because I'm young.
You're young.
I'm young.
It's okay.
Joe is in The Almost for a period of time.
Yes.
And Joe is in one of my favorite bands, Advent.
One of the best in the world.
Facts. This is very true.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Joe, good to see you. It's been a while.
Good to see you.
And before we kind of get into all this, so tell me this. Now, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Oh, God.
Hey.
8 years away from 50. I like to say it like that.
That sounds better.
Before we get into all your bands and stuff like that, what do you think the longevity? I know a lot of this stuff is coming back. Like when we were young, Furnace Fest, all these things are kind of getting a second life. A lot of guys are your age, if not. Like, how old are the Bane guys?
They're in their 50s.
Yeah,
mid-50s.
I saw those guys at Furnace Fest, and I was like, do y'all need like an ADA ramp to get on stage?
Yeah. Yeah, so when we played a show with them back in 2001, they said that they had been a band for like 12 years.
Oh gosh.
So we're all like, whoa, they're old. They're old.
I was 9. But I guess my first thing is like, now that this is a second wave, it's back. It's very heavily leaning on nostalgia.
Yeah.
How long can some of these guys support this? Like the Stones have toured up until like they're falling over dead. But like, how long can that work in hardcore and emo? Because what the Stones do and what you do are very different things.
As long as their bodies will support their efforts.
So do you think there's another 10 years, 20 years?
You know, a hardcore band's shelf life on average is probably 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
they have made it much further than most hardcore bands. I would say, with Bane's record, a band like Bane, they've broken up, they've gotten back together, broken up, gotten back together. And I think they're back together again. But they might be breaking up soon. I don't know. But they're amazing. They should just stay together. They should just indefinitely just figure it out and not try to go as hard. But these bands that are old like me, especially the guys that are older, it's all about pace. Yeah. It's all about finding the cool stuff and
What's harder, to do an hour set on drums or an hour set on vocal?
My God. I'm going to say, dude, playing an hour on drums was incredible. How much...
Well, you're doing
how
both.
Quickly I wore myself out. I tend to play like a caveman when I start.
Yeah.
When the adrenaline starts pumping, so...
But with Beloved, you're doing both.
That's true.
So if you're just playing a drums only set, do you think you could last an hour longer? Like, do you think you could make it an hour before you'd want to make it an hour doing an Advent set?
Yeah.
Because Advent, you turn red real quick.
It's real fast.
It's real fast. I think, was Advent 2022 at Furnace Fest or 23?
2022.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was a good year because I was out there working with Luke. So I was walking 15 miles a day, getting my cardio in.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was prepped.
For any of our viewers that know Furnace Fest history and my history with Furnace Fest, I first started asking bands for shots for hey, we need these extra video clips. So I text Joe. First person I text, I was like, hey, dude, I just started working for Furnace Fest. Can you send me this video? He sends me this video of him sitting beside some weed eaters. And I was like, cool.
Was it really?
Yes. Oh, God. Do you not remember the video?
I think I do.
Yeah, you're hanging on the edge of the trailer.
I need you to show me, dude.
Yeah, we'll pull that up later.
Oh,
but
God.
it's it's been interesting to see a lot of these bands come back, because I know we're going to talk about the history of stuff today, but it's interesting to see who's still got it this many years later, and who's kept it going the whole time. Like, Under Oath feelings aside, even if you don't like the band, the fact that they've been able to continue at such a high level,
it's incredible,
for so long. Not to put them in the same boat, but I look at them as someone like a LeBron, who's 40, who's still averaging a triple-double? This is not going to get sports. I know we're going to do this.
God.
We're not gonna-
Where are we going? Had to go there.
In basketball, as compared to the metalcore world,
Yeah.
they are the LeBron James.
Well, it's just as far as like, legit. I can't think of anyone else that has been that consistent that long.
They wouldn't be the Michael Jordan because they didn't just start it,
Right.
but they were on the heels of
I think
the
there's some
creation
merit
of
to that.
metalcore.
I think there's some
so. I would say they're up there.
All right, so let's go back. Let's talk
Yeah,
about Beloved.
let's go.
What year did Beloved start? I don't know.
1999.
Oh my gosh.
Holy cow, was 7.
Yeah, I was 7. Yeah.
I was 17.
Okay.
Only 10 years older than you.
Oh yeah.
I know.
No, that tracks. I'm 32.
You're 10 years away from 42.
Thank you for that.
But then I'm 18 years away from 50.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so Beloved starts 99 when I don't think anyone let me rephrase this. When bands were starting when we were young, when you were young, I don't think most people's intentions in a garage, in a church youth group room or wherever they started their band, I don't think anyone's intentions were like, hey, I want to do this band to be a predominant Christian band.
Oh, yeah. Right.
How did Beloved get there? What was the conversation, if you even remember, like?
Well, if I can even address what you said before the question,
Sure.
was all we wanted to do, for me, I wanted to play a show at 533 Uprisings, which was like the downtown hardcore punk venue of the
Okay.
time. That's where all the cool bands that were coming through played. Max 120 people. That's all I wanted to do. So our third or fourth show, it wasn't a legit show because we had to rent out the venue in order to have it.
Oh,
but we
sick.
rented the venue, then made the flyers, and it felt like we played 533. So we got there pretty quick. But I would say, what was the question again?
At what point was there a decision of Beloved is going to be
Okay.
a Christian associated act?
That was from the start.
Okay.
We wanted to. That was the original intent. Was
I guess
make music and make it about God.
Right.
Because all the bands we were listening to were
What
that.
examples?
Strong Arm, Living Sacrifice, Zayo.
You like Strong Arm?
Okay.
I got you for a second. I really got you.
I was like, oh God. That's going to go.
I got you for a second.
Strong Arm, Living Sacrifice, Zayo, Embodiment.
Right.
The list goes. Training for Utopia. List goes on.
So for you, I'm speaking for you, I guess, and Beloved at this point.
Yeah.
But for you guys, it was more of a you grew up in youth group. The bands that you were influenced by were already doing this thing. So for you, it was just kind of like I'm just looking up to the people I look up to.
Yeah.
And kind of following in their footsteps.
Yeah. I found out about these bands at youth group.
Honestly, that's how a lot of people found out about a lot of bands.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved the style already, but it was all the stuff that I couldn't listen to. It was a no-no. I couldn't listen to Pantera. I couldn't listen to
Pantera. Why did you start with Pantera?
that was like it had screaming and like palm mute, chugging, So that was like I didn't care about. I didn't know about styles yet.
Right.
If it screamed and the guitars were loud and the drums had a double kick, it was like, okay, that's hardcore. That's
It was either Scream or Stephen Curtis Chapman.
exactly.
Okay. Well, you picked wrong, but it's fine.
Then I'm still living the greatest adventure. So
Hey, yo. Shout out Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Whoa.
So but yeah, I found out about that music at youth group from two kids who were like, dude, you like Pantera? You like what was the other band that I loved?
Striper.
Prong. You might not have ever heard of that band. Okay, so somehow neither of those bands sound alike. But I liked those two bands, and this kid named Josh and his older brother Isaac were like, if you like those bands, come over to our house after church. In a couple Sundays, we'll show you some stuff. So I ended up doing it. And we just made mixtapes of all those bands that I just told you about. Blew my mind.
Shout out mixtapes.
Yeah.
What was interesting about, I'd say that time and maybe into a decade past that, is Christian music had this like, I would say maybe maybe a little bit longer, but a 10-year gap where someone could say there is this alternative, and they're not going to suck.
Yeah.
And you benefit of the doubt instantly because they're built, I would say, starting from that era, they're built this, like, I guess, trust in people making good alternatives to music. Because, I mean, you can go to, well, they don't exist anymore, but if you went to a Christian bookstore now, they would offer, like, oh, you don't want to listen to, you know, Ariana Grande, here's a K-Love pop version of that. You're like, this is not it.
Sounds like Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was the band that sounded like
Oh, you
that?
mean
Plus
plus
One,
one?
dude.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
was Plus One
yeah.
a Christian?
Oh, absolutely
Okay.
it was. And
I
then
think my sister had it.
Oh, bro.
Shout out Meredith.
I saw them in Valdosta, Georgia, and then they started dancing, and my mom was like,
I don't like this.
No.
they're supposed to be set apart. And I was like, oh. I was so excited for nothing.
Okay, so Beloved gets signed
Yeah.
what year?
2000 and our first contract was in 2001 to a record label called Vindicated Records. We put they were
nice.
out of Florida. We put an EP out with them, The Running.
Okay.
And then I think we saw that through until 2002, and Chad reached out to us about Take Hold. And I think around the time that we would have been signing to Take Hold was the time where he, ended up making his jump and a few bands over to Solid State Tooth and Nail. So 2002.
I will say now, in a lot of these podcasts, the name Chad Johnson will come up a lot.
Yeah.
I need to call Chad, but I want to have him on.
Dude, you have to.
Because Chad's perspective of all this, I don't know if he's ever like truly talked about all of it. Like,
He's a Gandalf of the
he literally is. Chad had this ability to just not necessarily pick needles out of a haystack, just know. I was saying this earlier today about Elon Musk, not to be a political thing, but whether you think he's a genius or not, what he's really good at is picking companies and making them bigger and better.
Yeah.
Chad was equivalent, if not better, for finding bands that he just was like, yeah. He told me that they would go to, God, I probably shouldn't tell this story, but it's okay. That they would be at Cornerstone and have the Tooth and Nail. He said this, yeah, it's fine. They had this booth at Cornerstone, and people would come up and, just dump demos at the Tooth and Nail booth.
Yeah.
And Chad was like, I'd give any demo 30 seconds and just would listen to it and see if it was good. And if it was good, I'd listen all the way through. I'd listen to the next song and get going, because if it didn't, he said the amount of CDs that were on the side of the highway in Chicago.
Okay, so that was a thing. That was a thing.
Yeah.
And it made its way through some kind of stream from, we used to tour with Ludacris. They changed their name to Norma Jean.
Right.
Under Oath. Everybody knew Chad. We're all kind of like in a big circle of people together. Well, the phrase roadside records was coined, and we used to sign plenty of bands to roadside records. It's getting signed, guys.
Oh my God.
6-album deal. Here we go. And just chuck it out the window.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, he was like at Cornerstone, there was just mountains of them. But I mean, to a degree, one thing I will say about Chad in that scenario is Chad listened.
Yeah.
At least Chad listened.
A lot of people wouldn't.
Because there's a lot of people in Nashville that will just not, they're not going to listen. But
Yeah.
Chad, you know this, obviously you know Chad even probably better than I do. Chad cares about people.
Oh, bro. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So, okay, so how did you meet Chad?
We met Chad. I think we met Chad when we played a Take Hold Fest.
Oh.
Take Hold Fest. We were out with at the end of 2001, like right after Christmas. We played a show in Kernersville. Us and I think Cool Hand Luke played.
Nice.
And then we drove down to Atlanta and played at a place called the Greenhouse with Ludacris. Cool Hand Luke, Under Oath, and a handful of other bands. Then we took off with Under Oath and played a bunch of shows with them, and we ended at Take Hold Fest in Birmingham, and there were 150, 200 people there, and we were one of the. I think we were the opening band. So Beloved was the opening band. We played, and then we met Chad there.
Is that
2001?
Is that
Like beginning of January 2001.
So that's not considered Furnace. That wouldn't be Furnace Fest. I guess Furnace Fest would come later.
Furnace Fest had already happened
Right.
in Birmingham. Because he had
Right.
He had 2000, then
Right.
2001, and that was our first. 2001 was our first year on Furnace Fest.
So you meet Chad there. Chad's moving to Tooth and Nail.
Yeah.
Takes you along with him. I've heard, obviously, we just mentioned earlier, I think before we started rolling, bands like Juliana Theory that are kind of shedding light on some things. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. With Tooth and Nail, when you originally came in on the picture, was there any sort of guidelines of like, hey, you guys are now a Tooth and Nail band, you're a Christian band. This is kind of like our set. This is our vision and image, what we want our bands to look like.
I could be wrong. I think there might have been something in the contract that was like, don't go out and try to pick up prostitutes and do drugs and all this kind of stuff. Not maybe verbatim like that, but there was some kind of like you're representing the label kind of talk. And for us, that was like we were already there anyway, so that was a no-brainer. We thought that's what we were signing for,
Right.
So.
But I guess that was just kind of like a, hey, just to let you know, you're now a representative of, like you're now a representative of more than just.
And if I'm wrong and somebody hears this and wants to correct me, I think that there was something in place like that, just some kind of standard. I don't know if it was in writing, but
So okay, you guys sign how many record deal?
We signed a 6-album deal
with Roadside.
6-album, and I guess Failure On was the first of 6. Yeah.
Where are the rest of those?
Oh, they don't exist. They don't exist.
Okay. I knew that. So you guys sign, you do that, you get the first record out.
Yeah.
Then at that point, let me ask you this. At what point did Beloved in your eyes take like feet of, this is a income thing. Like we're making not just gas money, not just hotel money. We're making money through merch, through guarantees, through other stuff. Like what was the point where that switch kind of changed?
So the last half of 2000, you've got all of 2001. You've got all of 2002. Touring was our expense. We paid. We saved. We worked our little jobs at home. I worked at a car wash. All the other guys worked at a grocery store or some kind of thing like that. And we'd save enough money to pay the bills, get out on tour, and hope to come home, somehow in the positive, not in the red, in the black, So we'd make it home in the black. Thank God we did that multiple times. And then by the time that we recorded our first album, which was in the beginning of 2003, the Failure On record, we left right after that. We were home for like 8 hours, and then we drove out to meet Me Without You and Norma Jean in Little Rock. And on the way, our van, broke down, which was... It was one of those enormous costs. I think it was like the whole back end of the van just fell into pieces. We dragged it into some town by the front wheels and made it in. And but we were on tour for like a month there. And I remember the Norma Jean guys. They left from tour with a stack of cash. For that time and for the size of bands that we were. They left, so they're the headliner. We're seeing them, but we also each after a month of touring, went home with $400 in our pocket. And I'm telling you, I got home, was like, what's up?
Yeah.
Who wants a little something?
What's up, dog? I'm rich now.
Daddy's
I won't be
buying
taking any
dinner.
questions.
I was at the Walmart in Kernersville, and less than like 10 hours later, like, let me get that Xbox.
Obviously, I'm assuming part of you lost money because of the van. Like you
Yeah.
guys would have made more.
We probably would have made a couple $100 extra bucks.
Yeah.
But that was a full U.S., very successful tour. A lot of the shows did really well.
Yeah.
And it was the first time where we're like, whoa, this might actually have a little bit of weight behind it.
Yeah.
Like if we put a little bit more in and get a little bit more into the touring game, we could probably see a return on that. So, and I think, seeing the other bands that are ahead of you by a couple years, they're killing it. They're bringing home like real money.
Yeah.
It kind of,
This is
a
the
little-
Bless the
put a
Martyr
little-
era, I guess, of
they had just recorded that. So Bradley was out doing vocals for them. So Josh was not in the band anymore. So yeah, it was cool.
So was that you're gonna have to like keep me up on Beloved history because a lot of this was before. So is that Beloved's last tour?
No.
Okay, so where do you go from there?
So we go from there to, we did a Remembering Never tour and a Figure 4 tour. And without the album being out, we still had enough kind of momentum going that people were coming to the shows, we're selling merch. Then the album comes out in June 24th, 2003. We were out on that tour for 2 or 3 weeks. And we're kind of starting to see like, hey, if we're gone for a couple weeks at a time, we each make a couple $100
Right.
each, and I'm telling you, early 2000s,
That's money.
for a band to come home with $27 is like,
That's money.
yo.
For 2024, for a band to come home with $27.
So we're going out there with a purpose, but also like, okay, this is not absolutely destroying our finances and our lives back home.
Right.
So we toured until September of 2004, and it kind of just incrementally increased as the longer we were out, the more money we would make. And
Sure.
it was, it was never mind-blowing, but it was a picture of what was happening because it was steady. It was steady growth.
Were you guys able to get to the point where you had guarantees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a manager, we had a booking agent, we had guarantees, and we chose a lot of the tours that we did out of our hearts rather than our pockets,
Sure.
So I remember we had a Warped Tour offer in 2004. We turned it down to take our friends in Classic Case out because
Ooh,
we had
shout out
already
Classic Case.
we had already told them that's what we were going to do. So rather than back out on our word, we did that. And that could have been a completely different
That could have, yeah.
trajectory. There were other bands. Man, we went out with this band called Backup Plan, and I remember we played Furnace Fest, and this was in 2003. They gave us a great guarantee for a midday band in 2003, probably $500 or $600, something like that. What they could, it was a completely different size than it is in
That's what they're trying to pay bands now.
2024.
Chat. No, I'm playing.
I don't remember. That could be a little low. I don't remember, but
I can guarantee you they'll give Beloved $500 or $600 to come back for 2025. I promise you. I don't even call Chad. I know. I promise.
see what you can do. But we loved taking out bands that were in our position 2 or 3 years ago. So we're like, dude, we split our set in half. We gave the second half of our set to the band Backup Plan. I jumped out in the mosh pit, started circle pitting.
You have a history of this. You have a
So-
history of stuff like
So
this.
for us, even as the money increased, I think until I got uncomfortable with things that were happening in myself, we were seeing success and we were on a trajectory towards like something much bigger than we were prepared for.
Were you at the point where Beloved paid your bills?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
great.
awesome. Yeah. Let me get $5 right now. No, I'm playing.
It's not still paying our bills.
Are you
today.
sure? Okay, so Beloved's on the way out. Before I kind of move from Beloved, do either one of y'all have any Beloved-related questions?
I know so many stories Joe has told me, and I don't know which ones I'm allowed to ask him to tell.
We're not cutting anything, so.
Not that one.
Done. Done.
No more questions.
Got anything?
I'm good.
Okay, so Beloved is over.
Yeah, Beloved's over.
What was the time gap from you to hooking up with Aaron? I said that wrong. I didn't pause. Pause.
I have the same question.
What was the? Oh gosh. What's the time? Like, what's the time between you and you ending Beloved and the Almost?
So that was Beloved ended in January 14th.
This is a few years, right?
Yeah, January 14th, 2005 was our last show. And then I joined. They started the Almost in like 2007, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
And then I was in Nashville in 2009 listening to what they had literally just gotten the guitars and drums and bass recorded. And he was like finishing up vocals and bringing in the aux musicians and stuff for the second album.
For Monster.
So it's from 2005 to 2009. So
Okay.
almost a little over 4 years.
What
actually.
did you do musically in that time frame?
Advent.
Oh, that's what. Duh.
Yeah, Advent started in 2000. Advent started like 3 months after Beloved broke up.
Was that? Did you have that plan from the jump?
No.
Okay, well then let's skirt the Almost for a second. What made you? Let me go back a little bit even more. Why did Beloved break up? You don't have to go into like super details.
I just, things
Unless
were
you want
changing. No, the dynamics were changing because I think if you're going to take a band to the next level, the dynamics have to change at some point, in some sort of way. And we were bringing in managers and booking agents and this kind of stuff. We had our booking agent. She was amazing. Our manager was a really great guy. I misjudged our manager, and I misjudged the intentions of a lot of people, but I was also coming up into, like, I'm getting ready to get married, and I feel like my life is supposed to look a certain way if I'm going to get married because my dad's got a real job. Emily's dad has a real job. Every guy that I know has a real job, and I never considered what I was doing to be real, that I was just out there, kind of playing around, and it just didn't feel as legitimate as a lot of other people's way. And so I think with all of just seeing the change in the band and seeing the life change that was about to happen with me, I just kind of was like, I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out. It'd just be easier if I just stay home and work. And I don't really care about it doesn't matter to me much about the show and the lights and that kind of stuff. Or I never wanted that to taint, what I did. So it was easy for me to walk away and just like be okay with, I don't need it. So I did.
But at the time you left, you said it's paying all your bills.
Yeah.
It's doing all these things.
Yeah.
Is part of the, I guess, you said part of the reason you left is wanting to feel like a normal person, normal job. Do you feel like because it was becoming such a thing that it was now like this big it was like there's money involved, like you're making real money, stuff like that. Do you feel like it took a fork from your original vision of like, we just want to be in a band about?
Yeah, I think that's what I saw. I was like, guys, we're not even the same band that we used to be. And I kind of misjudged people's hearts. I definitely misjudged our manager, like I said. He was just trying to come in and help us out, get as big as possible.
Yeah,
take us to it. That's his job, take it to the next level. And it was going that way. We had all these crazy offers. No. I just couldn't do it, and I don't think I could deal with what was coming, the success, or what that was. So I it was easier for me to say, I'm getting married, I'm done. Like I would rather focus on this. And I think that's where my heart was. I think my mind and my heart were conflicted and but looking back on it now, I can say, obviously I've lived this past 19 years out like this actually it would be about 20 years around now when I made the decision to leave the band. So shout out. Shout out Dusty's Basement. Final meeting.
Every good band meeting goes down in a basement or an attic. That is science.
Oh, yeah.
That is science.
That is science.
I don't know. I just, I made a call.
Yeah.
And I stuck with it.
And for you, that call is equal parts life, equal parts, I don't want to say conviction because I don't know if that's the right word, but just feeling like this has turned into, it's weird to say, but it turned into a job, but you couldn't view it as a job. Mm-hmm. Because I wonder if you couldn't view it as a job because your initial intent was for it to never be a job.
Right. You know what's crazy, though, is like a part of my actual job, what I do now, is to try and help people not make decisions based on only their feelings. And I've made a lot of decisions in my past based on either only or mostly my feelings.
Welcome to emo and hardcore. Pretty sure we have a whole genre because of that. But okay, so you leave at that point. You start Advent. Advent's intent is to be a local band?
Yeah, I think I just wanted us to play some local hardcore shows and just be one of the regional bands.
So in 2005, what's the dream venue? You had your dream venue for Beloved. Is it Sweat? Is it?
I mean,
Somewhere Else Tavern is an old venue.
Somewhere Else Tavern.
The Greensboro area, and it was called Sweat.
Oh, man, Somewhere Else Tavern. We definitely played a couple shows there. We played at Ace's Basement. Our first show was at Ace's Basement, which was a really cool venue, but probably one of the sketchiest places in Greensboro. I watched from the parking lot, watched a lady. So this guy was trying to choke her and hold her over the railing of the.
Now that's a hardcore show.
Welcome to Greensboro.
Yeah, this is true.
They have since bulldozed that building and gotten rid of it. But our first show was with a band called Turmoil, which was my second favorite band of all time. So I probably could have ended there, but
You were done.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we just kept going. So we kept going. Yeah.
So Advent obviously grows beyond that. Mm-hmm. Okay, Advent, all original members?
No. So Advent started with myself and Johnny and Matt. And then we found a guy named Justin who played drums for us for that first show. Mitch Marlowe. You know Mitch that owned Warrior with Al. Mitch Marlowe played guitar for us. He went on to play with Filter and I think Sum 41 and a bunch of other really cool band stuff. He's in Nashville. He works in Nashville. But he played that first show with us. So I guess that was our first lineup. Well, Justin left after either that show or the next show. We find a drummer named Chris Ankleline. Mitch couldn't commit. He was just playing the shows just to kind of help us. Actually, Blake Richardson from BT Band played some shows.
Okay.
Nice. Josh Moore played a show on guitar for us. Josh Moore from Beloved, if you can imagine Josh doing that. Who else? And then we ended up finding Mike from Pittsburgh. He came through Kernersville, was playing with his band at the skate park. And I looked over at Matt. We were watching his band. I said, that guy's going to be an Advent watch. And 2 weeks later, he was moving to North Carolina
that's awesome.
to live with us and join the band. And so we've had a little shift from the original, but myself and Johnny have obviously been in the band since the beginning.
I didn't even know that Matt was an original member until a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember who told
really?
me, but I was like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, oh
yeah.
I had no
I was
idea.
told Jordan McGee started the band.
Oh, okay.
Are you serious?
No.
It's like, I'm not going to let that lie take off.
Jordan somewhere just
no,
smiled.
sir.
He's like, yes.
Okay, so you're doing that. You're in the North Carolina surrounding area.
Yeah.
Advent is clear to me a lot more. I'll use the term that everyone used in that time frame. It was spirit-filled hardcore. That was, I mean, obviously I think of bands like Advent, I think of For Today. When I think of like spirit-filled hardcore, that was that's probably one of your five, 2 of your 5 right there. So you're doing that, you're in that subspace, you're staying in this region. Obviously Advent's getting popular, A, because of you guys are really good, but B, does Beloved play into
the old ties of Beloved and stuff? So we instantly had a record deal because
Solid State? Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out Solid State. Yeah, so I wouldn't say we instantly had a record deal, but it was first right of refusal, I guess.
Oh, sure.
So we end up first album, second album are on Solid State, so that was an easy way to put out the album and distribute and all that kind of stuff. So we had that at our disposal.
With Solid State, did they ever want you guys to push to like, you talked earlier about Beloved taking steps. Did they want Advent to take more steps?
Yeah, I think we definitely.
I can't imagine a label saying no to that.
Compared to the kind of schedule that Beloved had, Advent was part time. We toured 2 or 3 months a year.
Right.
Which is honestly that's more common now with artists like
100%.
Total.
Yep.
It used to be 9 to 10 months or you're not a real band. It's like you're a poser if you're not if you've seen your home more than 10 days in the last 6 months, you're not in a real
It's a
band.
hobby for you.
Yeah, so they definitely wanted us to, which I mean, I understand why, because they put money into recording the album and all that kind of stuff.
So why did Advent not do that?
Because we wanted to set our own pace.
Okay.
And establish who we were and what was important to us. And I at the time I'm married. Johnny's just gotten married. Matt's about to get married. And we were willing to put a stamp, but it's more about who we are than who you say we need to be,
So I think that's kind of an interesting point because I guess there's a pattern repetition of like Beloved gets to this certain point, you're not necessarily in for that reason. You're not in to cross that bridge, and then you're intentional about making sure Advent doesn't cross that bridge.
I could see that. Yeah.
Well, to me, it's interesting because, kind of the goal of this podcast is to talk about the business side of all of this. But to hear from you, like the intentional decisions to keep this something that felt, I guess, honest to you is really cool. But it's really interesting because clearly, I mean, we hadn't even talked about the almost really, but there's so many moments where you could have been like, all right, I'm going to be Joe Rockstar. We're going to go. And you a few times have said,
yeah, I think so.
That's just crazy.
I find that interesting though, because growing up in that youth group culture, for me, you were that for a lot of people. And I know we've talked about that a lot, but like you were the legend. Like, I mean, I remember.
It's because you're old.
Because I'm old.
It is because you're old.
It is.
But the first time I met you, me and all my guys walked into Don's Music City.
Yeah, dude.
Yo, shout out Joe working at Don's. If you live in the North Carolina area and you remember that, please comment wherever this video is.
It's crazy, but I remember we just freaked out because you gave us advice on how to tune a snare drum.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so crazy because you had no goal to be like the guy, but inadvertently you were the guy that everyone looked up to and still do, honestly.
That's crazy.
Dude,
so crazy to me.
Man, dude, I totally forgot about you working at Don's.
He said, just finger tighten the lugs and slap some moon gels on that thing. That's what he said, verbatim. Cody still quotes it to today.
Oh my gosh, I
That
definitely
gushy,
remember.
that gushy snare,
Yeah.
man.
Oh my gosh,
All gush.
I definitely
that was
remember
before
going
it was
to see
cool.
you.
No
too.
bounce, no attack.
Little did you know you were creating the worship sound.
Yeah, congratulations.
You should have sold a course.
Dang.
How to tune your CCM snare.
Man.
It's a table. It's just like hitting a table.
Did you guys see the video the other day? The guy is on TikTok and he just took another kick drum.
Yes.
Oh. He said the new worship snare.
Tune your snare drums up. What are you doing?
It's going back.
It's coming back. It's
It's
coming back.
You have a side snare for Gush now.
There's lugs on there for a reason. Tighten them. Getting off topic. Okay, so Advent is doing what you want, what you guys want Advent to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go to the almost.
Okay.
How obviously you knew Aaron from years of touring.
Yeah.
How did the conversation of you? I know we've had this conversation before, but honestly, it was a long time ago. How did you get that role in the almost?
So I remember Dusty from Beloved. Mm-hmm. When we stopped, he started talking to the guys in Dead Poetic. They wrote and recorded another album, and they released it, and the band broke up like either the day before or the day of the release of the album. Which
classic.
This is what the shelf life of any band in that scene is so shortened, and often by grass is greener, or I don't know what goes into all the decision making.
It's in the water.
It's just in the water.
It's in
yeah.
the water.
So, but Dusty goes from Dead Poetic to, and I don't know, I can't remember all the details of how he ended up with Aaron, but ends up.
Speaking of the water,
Porter's drinking
I was
water.
trying to figure out what you're trying to laugh at that. Anthony's dog. We're at Anthony's house. Anthony's dog.
Ryan
is
said it's in the
drinking
water, and Porter's like, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Water does
I'm
sound
thirsty.
good right now.
Getting after it over there, dude.
Dusty goes from Dead Poetic to the Almost, and then Kenny, their drummer at the time, was already talking about something, some kind of life change is coming up for him, and he's thinking about leaving. And Dusty was like, dude, if he leaves, I'm going to, tell Aaron it should be you. So I was
knew you.
I was at the Cracker Barrel in Greensboro.
Come on now.
Are you talking about the one off of 40?
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord,
man.
baby.
Brother.
Yeah, man.
I got the call, looked down, and it was Aaron Gillespie calling me. So I pick up, and he's like, hey, man, you want to be in the Almost? And that was in like 2008.
Okay.
So 2008, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So
Well, Southern Weather had already come out, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So a year later is when I ended up in the band. So there was like one phone call, and then it was like a year of just like, I guess I'm going to be in the band whenever this happens. And so they write and record their album, and then I'm in Nashville the next summer. So, but that's how Dusty, that's how it connected, and then that's how I ended up there.
So you play drums on Monster?
No.
Okay.
Toured. I was listed as the touring drummer.
I'm assuming Aaron played drums.
They had recorded, and I got there and listened to it all. Like a week or two after Aaron Sprinkle had already, mixed the drum, done all the drum stuff, recorded some guitar tracks. They were finishing up some lead stuff, and then they brought in Chris Scruggs, Earl Scruggs' grandson, came and played on 3 or 4 songs. And then there was a guy from some other really cool punk band. I can't remember what they were called. I'm sorry. Came and played. So I was at that point where they're finishing up. Yeah. I was there for a week. They're getting it done. And
you were at Dark Horse?
We were at Dark Horse. Yeah. Yep.
So I'm sure you know this, but in the other studio at the same time, do you know what record was being recorded?
Yeah, Reliant K.
Yeah, they were doing Forget Not Slow Down.
So Ethan came by while we were there, and I got to see Ethan again. I had just toured with him the summer before for a couple weeks because he was playing with Demon Hunter. So it's
That's
like,
sick.
Some guys that you're like, oh, snap, you're in this band? It's like, oh, I remember you said that last summer kind of thing. Like, whoa, like you're just seeing friends. And but that was a really interesting year where you're just waiting. Like, I was like, Aaron told me that I'm going to play drums, but it hasn't
Dad,
happened
believe me.
yet.
Believe me. So let's back up just a little bit. So we were talking about the Almost. You just finished your record, the business of the Almost versus the business of Beloved. You say it's very different.
Big time manager, big time booking agent, a business manager that is the day-to-day kind of financial number crunching kind of stuff. You know, we're renting out spaces to rehearse in. There are tour buses. There's touring crew. That didn't exist with Beloved, except for a merch guy, and definitely not with Advent, except for maybe one or two times a merch guy. But it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, PDs.
We had PDs with Beloved, but it was more like it started off like $5 every other day. Then it went to $5 every day. Then it went to $10 every day. Then Advent was on $10 a day.
PD is per diem.
And did you save your PDs for tattoos?
With the almost, dude, I used to. That was a way to save money in general.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so talk to me about. We're not going to get too much into Aaron here. At some point, I'd like to have Aaron on, so we'll dive on that with him. The Almost Christian Act, Aaron's still very much in the forefront of that space at that time. How did that align with your vision of the things you wanted to do, yet now you're at this, you know, for our world, you're at the scale. You're there.
yeah.
How does that work in your brain?
I was, you know, with the way the band was approaching, like, I guess you could say, the ministry side of like being a Christian band. You know, Aaron made it very apparent. We made time for that. We talked with people. My life has been about that. So it was not I didn't see any kind of conflict or anything, and I don't think Aaron or any of the other guys did. As I was in the band longer, we moved into that area even more, into ministry even more. So, you know, we started doing more acquire the fire events.
Shout out ATF.
youth group kind of stuff. We did stuff with a Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. We did stuff with Lecrae and, you know, like the Christian rappers, and we did more Christian tours and stuff as time went on.
I want to see Aaron do this now. I need a Aaron Gillespie x Lecrae collab.
Someone called KJ52.
Oh, dude. Oh, man.
Okay, you said earlier you had a KJ52 story. Go.
Yeah, so Beloved, we just played a show with him at a movie theater, like a defunct movie theater turned Christian venue
in
Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
In Des Moines, Iowa, in 2001. We were on tour with Me Without You, and we played with him and a couple other bands. And, you know, we were the heavy band for that day, so we're just in the back, you know, like, this is terrible, man. Oh,
yeah.
You know, so now I'm a youth pastor, so I deserve it. But, you know.
And you're salty because he played Winter Jam and you did.
Dang. I think we got offered a Winter Jam tour. We got offered one time. Okay, I could get this wrong. It's one of these two bands. It's either Mercy Me or not Counting Crows.
Casting
Crows.
Dude, I told somebody the other day, I think I told Dave Elkins, I get those two mixed up all the time.
Oh, my God.
They're the same band to me.
Okay, then I'm glad that
Clearly not the same music.
I was like, what?
So
you know what I mean.
We actually had.
Wait, what band is getting this offer?
The Almost.
Okay, that makes sense.
I
thought Beloved was getting
No.
way.
No, so the Almost gets an offer to do, I don't know if it was just a leg of the tour or a full U.S., full arena tour, and their manager sent, you know, our booking or manager an email. Well, he sends it to us, and he had carbon copied, you know, their management team or something on here, or blind carbon copied or something. I don't know how that stuff works. I still don't, which is really sad. I'm 42. I'm 8 years away from 50, and I still don't know what that means. Yeah, so but I made some stupid comment about, like, all the soccer Christian moms and stuff. They're going to really dig our set and all this kind of stuff. And the manager of Mercy Me got on, was like, well, thanks guys for the honesty here. I think we'll move on to some other offers. And I was like, I just ruined.
And that was your last day in the Almost?
No, and it's just crazy because I'm never the guy who's going to give a snarky comment.
Very true.
I'm never the guy. And the one time that I'm like, all right, I'm going to be like the guys. I'm going to try to make them laugh.
I'm going to get one here. I got it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But vastly different business side. Full, they had, what is it called? The little worksheets on the computer that have the lines and stuff. QuickBooks, spreadsheets.
QuickBooks.
Guys, if you didn't know, Joe's 8 years away from being 50.
I was playing Minesweeper.
They had spreadsheets and stuff of like profits and losses, and I'm just like,
Oh yeah, P&L.
what the crap am I looking at? Like,
It's
we
a
got
business.
so that didn't conflict with me because I signed up for that band to play music professionally, to get a paycheck, and then I ended up loving the guys. Becoming really good friends
Obviously,
with the
you're
guys
there with
in the
Dusty,
band.
someone you've known.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends, and so got to meet Jay, the other guitarist, and Alex, the bass player, and got to get a little bit closer to Aaron and spend time with him and stuff. So that was cool. There was no conflict. The business side was great, but it was on a completely different scale than anything that I had
And it all
operated in
started
before.
in the old country store.
It did. I was probably looking at clove gum or something like that. Considering buying a pack,
This episode is sponsored by syrup. Just syrup. No brand, just syrup.
No discrimination, any kind. All good.
Okay, so we're going to kind of wrap things up. We've been going for a while. So you've done the Almost, big business. You've done Advent. No business comparative.
No, not even comparative.
Where would you land on Future Joe? Like, would Future Joe do something at an Almost scale again or bigger? Does Future Joe want to do Advent twice a year? And
Future Joe likes, quarterly
profits.
quarterly Advent shows for a couple hundred people who care.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I think that's what I've always liked.
Right.
So,
But to be, for lack of a better term, rock star Joe for a while, cool.
that was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. But I tried to use it, for something better than just the platform.
Sure. And I guess that was the good thing about that point in time. Winter Jam joke aside, like at that point in time, like with Aaron specifically, you guys were moving in a more. It seemed to be a good balance of like, hey, there's still a ministry mindset here, but yet like this is everyone's livelihood right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a story I really want to bring up, but I can't say it on camera because I don't want to get in trouble. It's an Aaron thing. I'll bring it up whenever we get to do Aaron.
Okay.
Okay, so that's you now. Like your Advent. If you didn't know this, Furnace Fest 2025 is happening.
I just heard yesterday.
Yeah.
Was it announced yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just heard.
I did not know.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
Okay, let me rephrase this. I knew there was a conversation, and I think those conversations that I knew about are still happening as far as like who can be involved and who's involved in the thing. But obviously it's Johnny and Chad and Elena and a lot of the like Birmingham team is still there.
Yeah.
I had a phone call on the way here, and I was told to ask you if Beloved would play 2025.
Man,
What does it take to get Beloved back?
We can do the $500 guarantee.
We can promise that.
you can get that.
Yeah. We could go 650.
650.
We can do 650.
Well, I wouldn't know what to tell you. They made an offer to us last year, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
And
It's like $900.
it just wasn't. It was $900.
Yeah.
And but it was about $100 shy of what.
Chad, open your money. Open your wallet.
No, we it's we have to we've come to the point where we have to respect kind of everybody's point of view on what means a lot to them. And I think Josh has passed the point of any amount of money meaning something to him. I mean, that may not be true because there's a certain amount of money we still haven't been offered for something. Right. But
it's that winter jam money.
You know what I'm saying? Johnny, every time we get an offer, and we got offers for this Under Oath thing that they're out on. They hit us up about doing
that would
stuff.
have been so cool.
Amazing.
We got offers. We got other Glassjaw offers. We got other really cool stuff that's like, dang, these are like cool bands wanting us to do like really cool stuff. And Johnny would bring it to Josh, and Josh is just like, no, it's not my vibe, or it just doesn't feel special. So Johnny presented the question, what does that mean? What does it need to be special? So I think Josh is in a different place than we are, and I 100% I respect it. Well,
you're the one that broke the band up. So.
I did. So, but yeah, we're just all in different spots. Matt's got an actual tribe of people that live at his house. He's got so many kids.
See him every Sunday. There's like a whole train of them. I'm like,
yeah, dude,
wow,
it's crazy. Dusty's working with a company that does hospice care. Johnny works with one of the largest organic food distributors in the world, pretty much. And I'm a youth pastor, so xYOUTHGROUPx.
I thought you were going to say ex-lawn care specialist. I'll come check out your grass.
No, I try to send them all to Luke. Shout out Luke Cope. When we were young.
We were young. Okay, so is this a never say never scenario, or is the book closed?
I don't know. I feel like the book's probably closed, but we'll see. We'll see what. Maybe something will spark in everybody, and we'll all agree. And
what's special enough to get? If it's up to Joe Musten, what's special enough to get Joe to be like, all right?
I did see a hashtag that my friend Tommy sent me of the Instagram post, and it said hashtag Advent of a Miracle. So if that actually happened, don't smile like that at me. If that actually happened, don't mess with me right now.
What? What do you think I'm smiling for?
I would probably. I'm gonna go and just pit. I'm gonna pit and probably die. But I would love for Beloved to play that show.
So you're saying right now, Joseph?
Don't mess with me.
So you're saying right now that if my phone's over there, we can call Chad right now. If Advent and Beloved were there.
No, it said Advent of a Miracle. That's the name of a Strong Arm album.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes, what?
Nothing.
Yes, what?
Nothing.
Don't you play with
Look,
him.
man, hey, look, I'm coming from catch up. Like, I got to talk to Elena today. So I was like, was no one going to tell me anything? Am I coming back? Do I have a job? What are we doing?
Okay.
I found out everything today.
Okay.
I think it literally, this is not like groundbreaking. This comes out in January, but like Monday to Thursday, kind of like, oh, this is happening. Here we go. Okay. Here we go.
Snap. Okay.
Yeah. Because we talked last week, and it was still like, well, there's this. Maybe it could be this, maybe this. And then next thing I knew, there's an announcement. And I was like, oh, cool. My phone number's the same. No one called me. I didn't change it. So Strong Arm.
That's how much I love Strong Arm.
But you're going to be there anyways. That has nothing to do with Beloved.
If I'm going to be there, why am I going to be there?
No. Don't you do that, dude. Don't you? If there was something to do with Strong Arm, you would be there regardless.
I would be there. You better watch out if you're in that pit, son.
But what I'm saying is...
Spirit-filled. Spin kicks, bro.
Spirit-filled spin kicks.
I'm bringing them back.
Be watching from afar.
All I'm saying is if there was something to do with Strong Arm there, you would be there.
I would be there, and I would hope that would be special enough
to get the boys.
Yeah, to get the boys.
I feel like that's fair. Now, do you like the idea of Strong Arm fronted by Chris Carrabba?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
I mean that's Further Seems Forever. So yes, I do love that.
No, Chris doing Strong Arm songs.
I don't know why they wouldn't just ask me and I'll do it. I already did one with them.
All I'm saying is I've been in some meetings at some point in time that those words have been spoken.
If he can scream.
No, not about Chris. I'm talking about you.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd do that. I'd do that.
I know you would.
If they wanted to get Chris Carrabba, I would set me up a meeting with him. I'll allow him to scream for that band. If you try to do it without somebody who believes in those words, I'm gonna cause a problem.
All I'm saying
That's for
is
you.
I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
I've been in like
That's how much I love that band.
So Furnace Fest has Boss Pass, like the little hang tags for like the people that pay, and there's like a monthly meeting that goes on where they. It's really cool. I don't know of any other fest that does this. They allow their like I guess their higher tiered people to be involved in the like. Hey, these are the bands we're thinking about booking. This is this. There was multiple bands. I'm not going to say any names because it's going to start an issue. But there were bands that were issue bands that like we would bring up, and they'd be like, "Nope, we're not going to have this band because you already know where I'm going. Like we're not going to do this." But I love that there was that open discourse. But the conversation of you fronted Strong Arm has came up a lot.
There was some kind of like on one of the Furnace Fest picks. There was, I don't know if it was Chris from Under Oath or somebody. He either replied to it or somebody posted it like, "Can we do a bingo card for the amount of guest vocals that Joe Musten does at Furnace Fest 2024?" I thought that was hilarious, and I didn't even. I couldn't go. I couldn't go.
I was there for some of it. I never got. I've never seen Under Oath until this year.
Really? Mm-hmm. That is so crazy.
Yep. I was going to go.
I bet it was crazy.
I was perfect. Like Only Chasing Safety, extra songs, and they, the very last song, Writing on the Walls. Spencer has 200 people just come up on the stage, and they crowd surf him on the stage. Dang. And I was like, this is a wild moment just for what it is. And then at the time, I know for a fact, people are going to watch this podcast that are in Furnace Fest community. Let me look to the camera right now. I know for a fact that everyone believed that was the last moment. There's people right now that are angry that it's back. We knew it was going to be back. Nope. I talked to Chad that day. I talked to Elena. I talked to all these people. We were saying goodbye. Like, that was supposed to be it. So the fact that it's back, I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't think it was going to come back. I didn't know anything. No one knew anything. There was wars and rumors of wars. Anyways, Joe, thank you for being our first guest.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me. Seriously.
I love you. I've known you for so long.
Yeah,
me and Joe hung out one of the first times. He was at my studio when I had a studio.
Oh, snap.
And we went to Cookout after, and this man orders a grilled chicken breast. Just that. At Cookout. I thought it was the weirdest thing.
The low
I didn't
carb
know.
platter.
I didn't know they had grilled chicken. Ever since then, that's been my favorite thing at Cookout.
I was on like my workout stuff, eating all the low carb.
Dude, yeah. You came in, screamed and
Screamed.
Joe always says he don't want to be ripped. He wants to be prison strong.
That's right. That's right.
Well, on that Diddy note.
Oh, no.
I've been good this whole podcast.
So good.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching X Youth Group X. I'm Ryan. This is Anthony. This is Taylor. And this is Joe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.